Long before any whispers of tension or speculation ever surfaced, the story really begins with the simple fact that Kevin Costner and Sharon Stone rose to fame during the same intense, competitive era of Hollywood. And because their careers climbed almost in parallel, it didn't take long for magazines, casting directors, and even fans to start imagining what a collaboration between the two might have looked like. That early overlap created the foundation for decades of curiosity, and it's impossible to understand the later rumors without acknowledging how connected their early trajectories were. As both actors moved from smaller roles to major breakout performances, industry insiders started noticing something interesting. They were often in the same orbit. Reports from entertainment columns of the late 80s suggested that their names were tossed into the same casting conversations more often than people realized. Not in a dramatic way, just the natural result of two rising stars who fit certain leading man and leading lady roles perfectly. And because of that, fans began wondering why they never ended up on the same set despite their similarities. That curiosity only grew stronger in the early 90s, when both actors reached peak visibility at almost the same time. Stone was dominating the thriller genre, while Costner was becoming known for emotionally heavy, character-driven roles. The contrast made them seem like a dream pairing to a lot of directors, and sources from that era claim at least 2 projects almost signed them both, though nothing was finalized. Even so, the idea stuck with fans, who continued asking why nothing materialized. Naturally, when 2 high-profile stars run in the same lanes, people start building stories to fill the gaps. And that's where the early rumors began. Not because of drama, but because people expected something cinematic to happen, and it didn't. Their careers kept intersecting in interviews, press cycles, and Hollywood conversations. And every near miss added another layer of mystique. And this is what ultimately set the stage for everything that came later. When 2 actors are consistently mentioned together, but never appear on screen side by side, it creates a vacuum, one the media is always eager to fill. So while nothing dramatic was happening publicly, the stage was being quietly set for decades of fan theories, speculation, and behind-the-scenes whispering that would follow them long after their early career peaks. Now that their early intersection is clear, the next part of the story becomes easier to understand. Because once people expected something and didn't get it, the rumor mill started asking why. Because their early careers seemed so aligned, the moment fans realized the 2 had never collaborated, the speculation started. And that speculation is what eventually transformed into whispers, unverified, unconfirmed, but persistent enough to leave a mark. This is where the story takes a subtle turn, as curiosity slowly evolved into theories that something might have happened behind the scenes. As the years passed, online forums and entertainment blogs began revisiting an old idea that Costner and Stone may have had a professional disagreement during their peak years. None of this was ever validated, but the rumors stuck around partly because people were trying to explain what didn't happen rather than something that did. And when fans can't find a clear answer, they often create their own version of one. According to speculative reports from that era, the tension supposedly started during the casting of a major thriller, one in which Costner's name was allegedly on the shortlist. Some online sources claim that studio politics got in the way, with certain executives wanting Costner, while others pushed for a different direction. Again, nothing officially confirmed. But when entertainment reporters mentioned creative disagreements, fans immediately connected the dots. This speculation snowballed when a few entertainment writers suggested that one of the two stars might have turned down a collaboration that the other was open to. Which actor? No one ever agreed. The anonymity fueled the mystery rather than solving it. And because Hollywood rarely clarifies rumors unless they become crises, the whispers went unanswered for years. Another element that kept the rumors alive was timing. Fans noticed that when Stone's career exploded with her old roles, Costner was simultaneously making heavy dramas and award-winning epics. Because their public images were so different, yet equally strong, some people assumed there must have been personality clashes in early discussions. Again, completely unverified. But when speculation has decades to grow, it becomes part of the mythology surrounding two stars. What really made these rumors durable, though, was that neither actor ever stepped forward to confirm or deny them. That silence wasn't suspicious, it's just Hollywood. But it did keep fans wondering. And that curiosity laid the groundwork for the next wave of theories that would surface every time one of them hinted at their past industry experiences. And with those whispers lingering in the background, Sharon Stone's later interviews would add a whole new layer of speculation, whether she meant to or not. As the rumors about a potential Costner-Stone fallout persisted, Sharon Stone unintentionally added fuel to the fire through various interviews throughout her career. Not because she mentioned Costner by name, she never did, but because certain comments she made aligned a little too neatly with the mysteries fans were already discussing. Stone has always been refreshingly honest about Hollywood politics, and that honesty sometimes opens doors for interpretation. In several interviews, she mentioned instances where she almost worked with someone, but the project fell through due to behind-the-scenes decisions she didn't always agree with. Naturally, fans connected those statements to whoever they thought fit the description, including Costner. One particular interview from years ago resurfaced multiple times online. In it, Stone talked about missing out on what she described as a powerful collaboration because of industry politics. She didn't offer names, didn't point fingers, and didn't frame it as drama. But that didn't stop entertainment blogs from speculating. They began listing actors she might have been referring to, and Costner's name inevitably appeared because of their long-standing almost co-star history. Then there were Stone's occasional remarks about male leads she admired but never worked with. Whenever she praised actors who brought intensity or emotional depth to their roles, social media discussions automatically brought up Costner, given his track record. Even though her words were broad, fans are always looking for hidden meaning, and these interviews gave the rumor mill material to work with. Bloggers and entertainment commentators have, over the years, tried stitching these comments together, creating narratives that Stone might have been hinting at regrets or missed opportunities involving Costner. Again, these interpretations were fan-made, not statements from Stone herself. But the pattern of indirect references made the public wonder whether she viewed him as one of the major what-ifs of her career. What truly kept the speculation alive was that Stone's remarks tended to come during periods when her own career was being re-examined. When retrospectives about her rise went viral online, people revisited her comments, searching for deeper meaning. And each time they did, Costner's name seemed to surface in those discussions, simply because he was one of the few major stars of that era that she never shared a screen with. All of this added more layers to a story that had already taken on a life of its own. And because Stone continued to speak openly about Hollywood's complexities, fans grew increasingly curious about Costner's side of the story, especially since he remained completely silent. That silence is what leads into the next stage of this long-running mystery. What made the rumors surrounding Kevin Costner and Sharon Stone linger for so many decades wasn't drama. It was silence, and not the suspicious kind. Costner has always been known for staying out of Hollywood gossip, but in this particular case, his quiet approach made fans even more curious. When one actor speaks broadly about missed collaborations and the other remains completely silent, people start asking their own questions. Costner's reputation for privacy played a major role in shaping how the public perceived the situation. Over the years, he developed an image of being deeply focused on his work, someone who talks openly about filmmaking, but rarely comments on personal dynamics unless absolutely necessary. Because he avoided addressing Hollywood feuds, rumors, or behind-the-scenes tension, his silence became a blank page fans felt compelled to write on. This lack of clarification didn't mean anything was wrong. It simply meant Costner wasn't interested in adding fuel to speculative conversations. But the more he avoided discussing old industry stories, the more people interpreted that avoidance as meaningful. Some fans believed his silence was strategic, while others thought it was just his personality. Either way, it kept the mystery alive. Entertainment journalists, always eager to revisit unresolved Hollywood what-ifs, occasionally referenced the supposed tension in articles reviewing Costner's long career. Anytime he appeared in retrospectives or interview compilations, people would mention actors he never worked with but could have, and Stone's name frequently came up. Even though he never addressed these discussions, the repetition created the illusion of a deeper story. The internet amplified this dynamic. As social media grew, old rumors found new life, and Costner's silence started looking less like indifference and more like intentional avoidance. Again, pure speculation, but online chatter thrives on ambiguity. Whenever he praised actors from his era, fans would comment things like, "Why doesn't he ever talk about Sharon?" When in reality, there was no known reason for him to do so. The mystery surrounding his silence wasn't about drama. It was about contrast. Stone spoke broadly about Hollywood experiences. Costner didn't. Stone's interviews hinted at possibilities. Costner kept things straightforward. And when two stars handle nostalgia differently, fans interpret it as conflict, even if none exists. This unanswered curiosity ultimately set the stage for renewed interest decades later. Because when someone stays quiet for years, and then suddenly makes even a passing remark that seems reflective or nostalgic, people pay attention. And that's exactly what would happen years down the line, creating the moment fans believed Kevin Costner had finally broken his silence. Because Kevin Costner's long silence created a blank space in the narrative, the curiosity surrounding him and Sharon Stone only intensified whenever old casting rumors resurfaced. And the most persistent of these stories involves the project that many fans believe could have finally brought the two legends together. An almost collaboration that, according to long-standing industry chatter, came remarkably close to happening. This story appears repeatedly in old entertainment columns from the late 80s and early 90s. And although nothing has ever been officially confirmed, it's one of those Hollywood tales that refuses to fade. Reports claim a major director, some say a well-known thriller filmmaker, had envisioned a pairing between Stone and Costner for a psychological drama that was being quietly developed. To fans, this made perfect sense. Stone was rising fast with bold, intense performances, while Costner was becoming known for layered emotional roles. Their chemistry on paper looked undeniable. But the reason this so-called almost collaboration still fuels discussion today is because it supposedly dissolved at the very last moment. Some sources say the scheduling didn't line up. Others suggest creative differences within the studio led to redirection. And a few speculative outlets even hinted that one of the two stars might have turned the project down, though no name was ever attached to that rumor. The lack of clarity is exactly what kept the story alive. A missed opportunity between two major stars always sparks imagination, and the absence of official explanations only encourages more speculation. Fans began to wonder, if that one film had moved forward, would everything between Stone and Costner have played out differently? Would that collaboration have erased decades of rumors and replaced them with a blockbuster classic? And because their careers continued to skyrocket independently, the idea of a lost on-screen partnership began to take on a myth-like quality. Some film enthusiasts even argued online that the thriller genre of the early 90s might have looked completely different had the two actors teamed up, especially since both were known for elevating the scripts they touched. Yet what really gave this almost film lasting power was what happened afterward. Fans noticed that whenever a similar genre project popped up with either actor, someone would inevitably comment, "This reminds me of that movie they almost did together." The story started living beyond its original timeline, becoming something bigger than a single project. And with this near miss lingering for decades, it's no surprise that renewed online interest eventually brought the conversation back, fueling modern speculation that shadowed both stars into the 2020s. That renewed attention is what sparked the next wave of public curiosity, leading into the resurgence of their names being linked together once again. As time passed and both actors moved into different phases of their careers, their names became less frequently paired, until social media revived the conversation in a way traditional media never could. The renewed interest surrounding Kevin Costner and Sharon Stone didn't surface because of new films or public comments. It happened because the internet rediscovered old clips, old interviews, and the unanswered questions that had followed both actors for decades. The resurgence began around 2022, when Stone appeared in several video compilations praising strong, emotionally driven male leads. These clips weren't new, they were simply resurfaced by fans. But the online community began drawing connections again. Because she mentioned actors she admired but never had the chance to work with, people naturally began speculating if Costner was one of them. The comment sections filled with viewers wondering whether the rumored almost collaboration was what she had been referring to all along. Around the same time, Costner's massive comeback through Yellowstone poured gasoline on every old Hollywood question people had about him. With his renewed visibility, audiences revisited his earlier years, rewatching interviews, vintage magazine features, and press junkets. Whenever people searched for actors he had never worked with, Stone's name appeared again, especially in fan discussions highlighting iconic pairings that never happened. The internet being the internet, even the smallest piece of vague information grew into something big. Some fans claimed there had been a private, off-camera conversation between Stone and Costner at an award show years ago. Was it true? Completely unverified. But the idea spread because it felt like the missing puzzle piece people had been searching for. A single speculative comment on social media can turn into a miniature legend once thousands of users repeat it. Then came the edits. Fan-made videos pairing scenes of Stone's intense performances with Costner's emotional monologues. These went viral, giving younger audiences who weren't around during their original rise a fresh reason to ask why these two never ended up working together. For many viewers discovering both actors through TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram, the lack of collaboration seemed genuinely shocking. This surge in interest created a perfect storm. Old rumors resurfaced, new fan theories were born, and decade-old interviews gained renewed meaning. Every vague comment from Stone now looked like a hint. Every silent moment from Costner looked like avoidance. And every resurfaced magazine quote added fuel to conversations that had been dormant for years. With all this online momentum building, it was only a matter of time before people began interpreting one of Costner's more recent comments as him finally addressing the long-standing curiosity. With Costner's reflective comments circulating online and fans dissecting every possible implied meaning, the conversation surrounding him and Stone shifted from old Hollywood gossip to something more thoughtful. Suddenly, people weren't just asking what happened. They were asking what it all means now, decades later, with both actors entering a reflective stage of their lives and careers. At 70, Costner speaks about the past differently. Not with bitterness or secrecy, but with gratitude, hindsight, and a sense of closure. And because his recent comments arrived at a time when his career is being celebrated all over again, they carried more emotional weight. Fans interpreted that emotional tone as a sign that he may finally feel comfortable acknowledging things he once left unspoken. Meanwhile, Sharon Stone herself has become increasingly open in recent years, especially when talking about her journey, the obstacles she faced, and the people she admired. She has expressed interest in reconnecting with old colleagues and revisiting conversations from her past. Though she never specifically mentioned Costner in that context, the timing made people wonder whether the two might finally be on similar wavelengths, both reflecting on what was and what could have been. This convergence of timing, tone, and renewed interest created a modern narrative that's less about conflict and more about closure. The unverified rumors of tension no longer dominate the conversation. Instead, people talk about possibility. What might have happened if the two had worked together, and what it means to see them both looking back on their careers with new perspectives. For many fans, the fascination isn't about whether a fallout took place. It's about the idea of two Hollywood icons finally reaching a point where the old barriers, real or imagined, simply don't matter anymore. It's about witnessing two careers that shaped an era and realizing that time softens everything, including unanswered questions. This shift also explains why audiences reacted so strongly to Costner's recent comments, not because he confirmed a rumor, but because he acknowledged the concept of unfinished collaborations. And that small acknowledgement reminded everyone how different Hollywood history might have been if one project, one conversation, or one decision had gone differently. Today, the story of Costner and Stone feels less like a mystery and more like a reflection of how timing shapes careers. Fans don't necessarily expect the two to suddenly reunite on a new project, but the thought of it isn't as far-fetched as it once was. And the idea that both actors might finally be at peace with the past is meaningful in its own way. In the end, it's the unanswered what if that keeps the story alive.